Now, we stood in the fire. We lost friends, family, and jobs, all because we believed in truth. We believed in Trump. But now Pam Bondi, she stood on national TV and promised the Epstein list and said the files were on her desk. Y'all remember that? Now the tone switching to there's nothing. Don't feel like a mistake. It feel like betrayal, if I'm being honest. And I got to say it. Even as someone who still supports this man, I'm raising an eyebrow. Let's roll the clip.
Okay, let's put it like this. I've lost friends over Trump. I've lost family for my support of Trump. I've been called everything in the book, and so have you, from conspiracy theorist to racist to Nazi. I've stood by over and over and over again and watched as this man has done incredible things. I could easily say at one point that this is the best president of our lifetime, maybe ever. But what you're doing right now, Mr. President, when it comes to this Epstein stuff, sir, you guys led us along in this administration all these years talking about Epstein, including yourself. This is something that we feel our politicians are being manipulated and controlled through. You understand, right? Like Epstein recording all these rooms. Why did he do that, sir? If it wasn't to corrupt a politician. We're not buying what you're selling. We watched the FBI pull out all these things from Epstein Island. We know that Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison right now for trafficking, okay? And the connections with her family to the Mossad needs to be talked about.
Yes, it
We
does.
have questions, and we've waited patiently and patiently and patiently as people threaten us, make fun of us, and call us these conspiracy theorist names that we no longer care about. It doesn't matter, because I'll fight for the truth no matter what it is. And that's where we are right now. How could you say this today in your press conference, sir? With much due respect, as a person that's went to January 6th to defend the country and that was taken from you, sir, how can you sit there and say this to all of us that have been led along about Epstein, including by Pam Bondi of your Justice Department, Dan Bongino and Cash Patel, people that we picked to be in the FBI for this purpose, and now all of a sudden, you have this to say because we ask questions?
Yeah, sure. If
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure.
What sucks is he's right. We've had a lot of great wins and a lot of good things happen. But this mattered more than you understood, Mr. President. This mattered to us. Virginia Roberts Guffrey, deserves better than what she had to go through and just passed away, being the last physical victim that would have testified. Something's off. I see it with my own eyes, and I pray to God that your heart get convicted, Mr. President, because this is not what God brought you through an assassination attempt for and all these other things that we had to go through to get you back in office. This isn't it, man. This isn't that hill to die on. If you're implicated, so be it. Own it. I'll respect that more than you dumping us all in the grease right now.
Your voice is a weapon. Use that shit.
Now, that's not a Democrat, mind you. Not a grifter. That's one of us. Hurting. Not hating. And you can feel it. He's not turning on Trump. He asking what we're all afraid to say out loud. So let me ask. If Galestine, I don't know how you say that woman's name. I always mess it up. Galestine, whatever. If she's locked up for trafficking, what are the names of the people she trafficked to? Yeah, they threw the net, but somehow the fish disappeared.
But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. You know, they do that for danger, too, because, you know, endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it. But
He said it clear as day. Now, let me be fair here because I still rock with him, okay? Maybe he wanted to drop the list. Maybe that was the plan, but ask yourself this. If Trump really was on that island like the left claims, would they be hiding that list? I remember hearing it from Tucker Carlson in the earlier clip. I couldn't find it. Nah. I believe they would have dropped it during the indictment press tour and danced on his grave. So the fact that that list got buried, that tells me somebody else is scared. And maybe it ain't Trump.
Wow, Donald Trump, America, government. Your government kidnapped me. You promised the Epstein list. Victims are being found dead. Hello. I mean, the whole reason you gained presidency, Trump, was because of promising the Epstein list. Are you as much of a liar as them? You know, and thank goodness for Elon Musk for actually standing up for what's right. You know, it's funny how only South Africans stand up, because where are the other 200 Epstein victims? Well, then maybe they're too frightened to speak out because of the American government. Well, I speak for all of them. I speak for all victims. How dare your government abuse, rape, and murder? We'll be coming for you. Don't you worry, government. You can sit there and pretend that Epstein didn't exist and that none of this happened. But guess what? We're not that fucking stupid. Don't make us any more angry, otherwise we will come and we will find you. How dare you?
Now, I'm not advocating for any of the threats that was posted here. This is merely for educational purposes. I want to make sure I make that clear. This is someone claiming that they was kidnapped by Epstein, and this was her response. And if it's true, then that's a survivor. She's not pushing left or right. She's pushing for justice. Now, she has somewhat of a radical approach, but if it's true, you got to see it through her lens. Again, for educational purposes only. And what did we give her? Pam Bondi, standing in front of a camera, playing defense.
Because you said last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk. When can we see them, and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have, well over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. But other than that, I think tomorrow, the personal information of victims. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah, what you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information, but it's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay, well,
along with his co-defendant.
Now, this wasn't some leak. Pam Bondi went on Fox News and told the world, we got the files, we got the flight logs, names, it's all coming out. That's not hope. That's a declaration. So what changed? What changed?
We all did. And the FBI handed over a couple hundred pages of documents. But, Sean, I gave them a deadline of Friday at 8 a.m. to get us everything. And a source had told me where the documents were being kept, Southern District of New York, shock. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m., thousands of pages of documents. I have the FBI going through them, and Cash is also, now that we have Cash here, it's a game changer, of course, and Cash is going to, Director Patel is going to get us a detailed report as to why the FBI withheld all of those documents.
Okay, I want to be clear because I think people got frustrated because they were expecting more. You were expecting more, and you didn't find out less than 24 hours before the release. You got a whistleblower that confirmed that there were way more documents that they were supposed to turn over, and then you found out just before that.
Well, sure. And you're looking at these documents going, these aren't all the Epstein files. You know, there were flight logs, there were names and victims' names. And we're going, where's the rest of the stuff? And that's what the FBI had turned over to us. And so a source said, whoa, all this evidence is sitting in the Southern District of New York. Yep. So based on that, I gave them the deadline, Friday at 8, a truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI. Cash is going to get me and himself, really, a detailed report as to why all these documents and evidence had been withheld. And, you know, we're going to go through it as fast as we can, but go through it very cautiously to protect all the victims of Epstein, because there are a lot of victims.
Well, you had identified in phase one over 254.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, is that the only thing that would be redacted? Will everything else be made public that you get in your possession?
Yeah, the FBI hasn't had, obviously, they haven't looked at the thousands of pages of documents that they've just received Friday. Yeah. But Cash has a team going through them, and it's always about protecting the victim. But you know what? We believe in transparency, and America has the right to know. The Biden administration sat on these documents. No one did anything with them. And why were they sitting in the Southern District of New York? I want a full report on that. You know, sadly, these people don't believe in transparency, but I think more, unfortunately, I think a lot of them don't believe in honesty. And it's a new day, it's a new administration, and everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have a right to know.
And that goes the same with the JFK files,
JFK,
RFK files,
Martin
MLK?
Luther King. Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. What are the things that, and maybe some people don't understand the need to redact. In the case of a victim, that should be pretty obvious to people. What are the other things that maybe you would have to redact?
Well,
national security?
No, of course, national security, some grand jury information, which is always going to be confidential. But we'll see. Let's look through them as fast as we can, get it out to the American people, because the American people have a right to know, not only on that, but on Kennedy, on Martin Luther King, on all of these cases that the Biden administration has just sat on for all these years. So yeah, it's really. It's not sad. It's infuriating that these people thought that they could sit on this information, but they can't. It's a new day, and we believe in transparency, and it's going to come out. And when we redact things, Sean, what we're going to do is not just pull pages out like they used to do. If something's redacted, you will know the line, and you will know why it's redacted, like a victim's name, identifying information of a victim.
Now, you can't make this up. She promised us thunder, but gave us a shrug, basically. No, this ain't about hurting Trump. This is about the people around him who weaponized our loyalty to run cover. If Bondi had the real files, why'd she parade in front of the country like bait?
There is a reason why people are asking about this. This is by far, and I'm a supporter. 3 times I voted for this man. This is by far the biggest fumble of the administration they've had thus far, and here's the reason why. If you remember the president winning, he had a conversation with Fox News, the great Rachel Campos Duffy, and she asked, Mr. President, 9/11, yes. John F. Kennedy, yes. Epstein, he didn't say yes. He was a little bit hesitant of bringing that information out. Why? So why does his leadership team go out there and like, we have this information and we're going to release this and Cash. And let me tell you what we have with Pam Bondi out of the state of Florida. She knew everything about Bondi, about Epstein. Why are you fumbling this? Why are you not having an emergency meeting together to conversate and say, hey, we're going to be on the same page with messaging on this. All you have to do is send a message to everybody. Say, God, let's have a conference call. Here's what we're going to be saying about this, because this was a very important issue to not 80% of the voters that voted for President Trump, but I think 20% of the voters wanted to know what's going to happen with Epstein, and it's a big letdown. Normally when I come, I give a very positive message. My only suggestion, no more fumbles. You're having the greatest start ever as a president. There's going to be Nobel Prize, but a lot more than that. I believe he has a shot at going down as one of the greatest presidents of all time and competing for some of the like top 5 type of lists. But we have to have an emergency meeting and saying collectively, no more fumbles.
Now, this part hurts because Patrick's right. This moment needed clarity. It needed strength and needed a team around Trump that actually moved, or at least seemingly perceived like they moved, like they care. But still I ask, if Trump was guilty, why aren't his enemies throwing this in his face? Why weren't they, when they had the chance?
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Yeah, this part right here, this is what makes your blood boil. We got FBI papers from 2008 saying Epstein worked with them, and Bondi says we had no idea. Confusion, coordination, I don't know. The intel angle is the smoking gun. That's why the list vanishes. Oh my gosh, what's going on with my hair today? I gotta go put some grease in it or something. It's dry. But back to what I'm saying. What I say, yeah, that's when the list vanishes, and that's why the media gets quiet. That's why we get shamed for asking questions.
Hey everyone, this is a quick update on my thoughts on the Epstein case. I'm actually about to go into the prayer room and lead worship, one of my favorite nights of the week. But what we're watching with these Epstein files and the suicide, and I don't watch cable news, I don't read the New York Times, I haven't watched or listened to any of the corporate mainstream owned media. But many of you know I work in the Philippines rescuing girls from the grips of sex trafficking. It is one of the deepest, darkest chambers of hell you can ever consider. And here in this country, it's kept very clean. It's kept very well hidden. Where in the Philippines, it's out in the street. And Jeffrey Epstein was clearly an operative. Just a quick biography of this man, you realize something's not right. But now Attorney General Bondi, who I predict will be gone before the end of the month, she's now been caught lying. That's never a good sign. Today in the press conference, Press Secretary Leavitt, I believe, lied from the podium. They are now trying to say that what was on her desk wasn't the client list. It was just a stack of nebulous files concerning the topic. Very bad. And then Trump today in his cabinet meeting, along with Bondi, just made extremely unwise remarks. And I'll tell you, I'll just get right to it. What I think is happening, two things. One, despite what the media has told you, I do trust this administration. That's just me. I don't think they are a well-oiled machine of liars. I think these are good people. I think Levitt and Bondi and Trump, I know many disagree with that. I don't think they are what the media paints them to be. And now they have to lie, and they're doing a horrible job. They should never have released the surveillance video. That was debunked so quickly. So what I think is happening, we are up against a principality of hell. These are chief prince rulers of darkness that govern the trafficking and pedophilia world in ways that we don't even want to imagine. If that list was released, I believe nations could be brought down, not just our favorite movie stars. So if nothing else, this whole thing should bring us to our knees. It should drive us to our knees in prayer, because what's happening is not of this world.
Yeah, man. This ain't just politics. This is about evil in plain sight. Wrapped in red tape, buried in courtrooms and silenced by the very people who said that they'd fight it. But I want you to hear me when I say this. We're not abandoning truth, nor are we ever going to abandon justice. Man, right now, I'm not finna sit here and abandon Trump. But we will call out the liars, even if they wear the right colored tie. Because same thing, we don't just follow people blindly. We follow truth, even if it leads us through the fire. If Pam Bondi played us, she owes us more than a press conference, I'll tell you that. If the Epstein list disappeared, we're going to keep asking where it went. And if you think we're just going to let this slide because we're loyal MAGA, man, y'all got us so confused. I'd much rather stand alone in truth, than a march in silence for a lie. Drop a comment, though. Share this with someone who still believes in justice of a party. This ain't about politics anymore, y'all. This is about truth. Team Think. Let's get it. Y'all be safe. Go check on somebody today. You could be saving their life. Peace.